Hello and welcome to another tutorial from Brain Gym. If you want to avoid missing out on more free tutorials like this one, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below, and as always, feel free to put your questions in the comment section. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Today, you're going to learn how to do implicit differentiation, which is actually much easier than it sounds. All we need to do is differentiate each term separately, but after differentiating any y or function of y, we need to multiply the result by dy dx. Once we've done this for every term, we simply isolate dy dx and we'll be left with our solution. Let's get into this worked example. So we have three terms here that we need to differentiate individually. First, let's focus on term number one, x times y. So by the product rule, first we need to differentiate x, which we get 1, and then we multiply that by y. And to that we need to add x times the derivative of y, which is 1, but now we need to multiply it by dy dx. Because whenever we differentiate y, or a function of y, we need to multiply the result by dy dx. So if I simplify this, we're simply left with y plus x times dy dx. So that means the derivative of our first term is y plus x times dy dx. Now let's differentiate the second term. Alright, so the derivative of y squared is 2y times dy dx. Again, we have to multiply by dy dx because we are differentiating y squared, which involves y. Finally, we need to differentiate this last term, x squared. So x squared, when we take the derivative of that, we get 2x. And we don't need to multiply by dy dx this time because this function, which is x squared, does not involve any instances of y. So that's all the differentiation done. Now we just need to simplify and isolate dy dx. So first, I'm going to move the y to the other side of the equation. So everything else remains unchanged. And we simply move the y to the other side, and it becomes a minus y. Next, I'm going to factorize this left-hand side. So I'm taking out the dy dx, and inside the bracket we have x plus 2y, and the right-hand side remains unchanged. And finally, to isolate dy dx, we just need to divide both sides by this fraction. And we've got our final answer. So dy dx equals 2x minus y divided by x plus 2y. Okay, let's get into the next example. Again, we're differentiating each term separately first. So when we find the derivative of y cubed, we get 3y squared. And remember, we need to multiply it by dy dx. So before I continue, I'm just going to change notation a little bit to make it easier to write and read my working out. So instead of dy dx, I'm just going to write y dash. So those two mean the same thing, it's just slightly different notation. So that's the first term done. Next, let's move on to differentiating the next term. To get the derivative of minus 2x, that's quite straightforward, we just get minus 2. Next, we need to differentiate minus 4xy. So I'm going to write the minus outside, and inside the brackets we're going to find the derivative of 4xy. So again, using the product rule, we're going to need to differentiate the 4x, which is 4, multiply that by y, and then add on 4x times the derivative of y, which is 1, times dy dx, which again I'm going to write using the y dash notation. So just to simplify this a little bit, if we wanted to simplify, we could simply remove the brackets and change this to a minus. And then we can just multiply this together. So we're going to be left with minus 4x times y dash. Cool. So now we can move on to the two terms on the right-hand side. The derivative of 10 is 0, and the derivative of negative 3x is negative 3. Now we just need to simplify and isolate y dash. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move anything that's not involving y dash to the right-hand side of the equation. So what that means is I'm going to move the minus 2 minus 4y to the right-hand side. So the minus 2 becomes a plus 2, and the minus 4y becomes a plus 4y. Great. Now we just need to factorize the left-hand side. And simplify the right-hand side. So negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So we can just write this as 4y take 1. And the final step is just dividing by this bracket. And we have our final answer. So y dash equals 4y take 1 over 3y squared take 4x. And that's all there is to it. Be sure to leave your comments, questions, and suggestions in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and hit subscribe to avoid missing out on more content from us. See you next time.